Is anyone there? Hello? Hello? Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Oh. Shh, 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 shh. Just be quiet. I'll get the lights, okay? Okay. Hey y'all, it's Brody, and as you may have seen from the title of this video or the thumbnail of this video, today I will be recommending you books to read for Read by Daylight. What is Read by Daylight? I have an entire announcement video up there. I will leave linked for you. Go check it out. But basically, it's my year-long personal readathon reading challenge, whatever, that I've decided to share with you. I have a Twitter account. Go follow it. Essentially, it's a year-long thing, 12 months out of the year. 3 prompts each month. You have to complete them and escape a different killer each month. That's the basis. Okay, the first prompt, I'm just picking randomly from the stacks of books I have sitting around. We're gonna go with Mr. Smiley. Mr. Smiley is a high school janitor turned serial killer who slaughtered a bunch of teenagers at a premiere of a horror movie. So, read a book that you should have already read. This is a good time to get your arcs out of the way, your library books, things that you should have read for other book clubs. Read a book about movies. I'm going to recommend my favorite horror movie, produced and edited by Christian Ackerman. This is about horror people, like actors and stuff, and the films that made them fall in love with horror. And then read a book that made you smile. I have Let's Talk About Love by Clara Kahn. This book made me smile. It's made a bunch of people smile. It's a cute contemporary about an asexual girl finding love and acceptance. Okay, next we have Sally the Shark, who is a shark that was genetically tested on to become a super experiment for the government and kind of lost control of the experiment, and now Sally's out to kill all of the scientists who were, tormenting her because now she's in constant pain. So read a book on, in, or around the ocean. I have The Line Tender by Kate Allen. This is about a young girl whose mother is a marine biologist. Her mother is dead. Fitting for this whole thing. Next is to read a book with a revenge plot, and I have Foul is Fair by Hannah Kaplan. This is about a girl who decides that she's going to take revenge on all of the people who were involved in her rape. And then finally, pick a quick read. I have Motherfucking Sharks by Brian Allen Carr. This is really, really short. It's one of the wildest books I've ever read. Trigger warnings for like incest and like weird sex-related death and stuff like that. It's a lot. It's a lot. This is about this salesman who goes from place to place warning people about a storm that will rain sharks, and the sharks will kill you. It's bizarro. Don't ask me to explain it. It doesn't make sense at all. Then we have Layla Thompson, who seems to be the favorite of the Read by Daylight crowd, the sapphic cheerleader possessed by a demon. Read a book that's sapphic. Are you surprised that I am recommending you Wilder Girls by Rory Power? Also, fun fact, someone theorized in the comments that I gave all of Layla Thompson's prompts as they were to make more people read Wilder Girls, because Wilder Girls fits more than one prompt. I did not do that intentionally, but good catch. Then, read a book set in a school. I have The Magicians by Lev Grossman. This is about a boy going to a wizard school, and as far as I'm aware, the author is not transphobic, so read a book that someone else selects for you. I don't know how you're going to go about this. However, I will recommend The Odyssey by Homer, just because I feel like should be in fair, like, free reign, where you can just, like, find it on the internet. Should be, don't quote me on that. I think it's out of copyright. The Great Gatsby, I'm pretty sure you can find online. Most classics you can find for free and accessible manners. What I am planning on doing for this month, if you don't have anyone to pick a book for you, then you can message me on the Read by Daylight Twitter, and I will select your book out of like options that you give me. Then we have the Technology Demon, which is a demon that got passed around this town based on a popular app, word of mouth, that started like taking over people's photos, taking possession stuff. It's the Technology Demon. He infects you through your phone. So for this one, we have read a book that looks like a former favorite, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say, for me personally, anything with book snakes on them would count for this. They both have snakes, it counts. Just to read a book that got a film or TV adaptation, I'm gonna go with Bird Box. I liked the book infinitely better than the movie. This is about an unseen entity that's causing people to go mad and kill themselves. Next, we have read a book that you heard about online, and for that, I'm going to pick Slay by Brittany Morris, sticking on the theme of technology here. This book is about a video game developed by a teenage girl. I've also seen some people call this a techno thriller, which I didn't know was a thing, but I think kind of fits for the description, so Maybe it's a techno thriller. Then we have The Nothing, which is an entity that targets young children, causes them to do terrible things, whispers in their ear, things they would never actually do in their day-to-day life. Then as teenagers, they will remember the nothing and go home to find it only to be murdered by it. So for this one, we have read a middle grader children's book. I am recommending Ghost Squad by Clarabelle A. Ortega. This is about two girls living in St. Augustine, Florida, who are trying to figure out these sudden hauntings in their town. Then we have read a book with characters in their 20s or 30s, and I have My Sister the Serial Killer. This is one of my best books of 2020. This follows two sisters named Ayula and Korede. Korede is a nurse, Ayula is a serial killer who kills her boyfriends. Read the book that you want to read the least, and I cannot choose this for you. I don't know what kind of books you hate, but I can tell you that the book that I hated the most that I read last year, infinitely more than everything I read, was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. So if you trust my recommendations, then you wouldn't want to read this, which means that you wouldn't be able to read it for this challenge. This is a thriller that takes place in a psychiatric hospital and deals with this woman who apparently murdered her husband and now will not speak. Garbage. Hot fucking garbage. I filmed a video ranting about this book and deleted the footage because just editing the footage made me so mad. Then we have the hive mind infestation, which is a sickness that was brought upon this small town because of a government pollution issue, and now infects the minds of everyone and gets inside, and it feels like bees crawling around inside your brain. Isn't that fun? We have read a book with an insect on the cover. I'm recommending King and the Dragonflies. There are dragonflies on the cover. It's a queer middle grade book about two gay boys. Then we have read a book that was someone else's group book or group pick or readathon selection. I don't know what's going to be going on in the month that that's happening. I don't know who's going to be picking what books for what readathons. But there's always readathons and stuff going on. There's always book clubs happening. Multiple a month. You can find something. But I'm going to recommend our Spooky Bitches Book Club pick for November, which was Mongrels by Stephen Graham Jones. If you want, I'm not policing this too hard. You can go back and read for past book clubs or whatever. That one is a young adult novel about werewolves. And finally, read a book that comes heavily recommended by the community, and that's Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Young. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about this high fantasy concubine sapphic story. We have the Skin Beast, which is a shapeshifter that's been around for centuries and can shapeshift its form, so it's basically the perfect predator. It will find you before you know it's coming, and then it will run away before anyone can find it. It's been around for centuries. No one really knows what it looks like for sure. So we have read a book featuring a shapeshifter, and what else am I ever going to recommend other than The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones for this? This follows a group of Blackfeet men who killed an elk in their teen years, and now the elk is back to haunt them and get revenge, and she's a shapeshifter. Then we have read a book with an animal on the cover. You can read anything with a book snake, but I'm specifically recommending Ghostwood Song. Once again, I mentioned this in my Best Books of 2020 video. This is a YA surrealist, paranormal, spooky ghost book about a bluegrass player. And then finally, read a book that you have owned for over a year. I'm gonna go with like the complete works of William Shakespeare because I feel like a lot of people have classics on their shelf, just anything that's been sitting on your shelf for more than a year. This can also be a reread. I'm not picky. Like I said, you do you for this. We have Dr. Hitch, who is a surgeon who wants to create the perfect person, so he's cutting off different body parts from his patients. And this was accidental, but I recommended 3 indigenous books for this. So the first one is read a book out of your comfort zone. I have Heartbeat Brace by Pamela Sanderson. This is an adult indigenous romance novel. I do not read a lot of romance. I don't know what's in your comfort zone. I don't know what's out of your comfort zone. For me, it's romance. Then we have read a 5-star prediction. I don't know what you predicted would be 5 stars. For me, that was Johnny Appleseed by Joshua Whitehead, which is about an indigenous queer sex worker. And I loved it, and I correctly predicted that it would be 5 stars. Then we have read a book about a fearophobia. Once again, you do you. I don't know what qualifies for you, but I'm gonna say Anoka by Shane Hawk. This is a short story collection. And one of the stories in here is about like a cloned child who's not really a child, and it freaked me out. And like scary kids and children not being what they seem is a very specific fear that I have. We have the Stallion Sisters, who are 2 sisters who run a brothel in this Wild West town, who seduce men to come in, they take their money, they poison them. I have to read a book with a Wild West setting. I'm going to recommend Vengeance Road by Erin Bowman, which is a Wild West revenge tale about a young girl who problematically does disguise herself as a boy, but goes across the West to avenge her father's death. We have read a book with an aesthetically pleasing cover. Once again, you do you for that one, but I think right now my aesthetic is very much The Sacrifice Box by Martin Stewart. Can't wait to reread this one. This is about a group of friends who made a promise whenever they were younger to stay friends forever. They broke that promise, and now all of the sacrifices they made during that pact are coming back to haunt them. We have a book that you treated yourself to. Once again, I don't know what you're picking for this. Whenever I think of books that I treat myself to, it's very specifically adult thrillers and hardback. I'm gonna say Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. And this is about a woman who becomes an apartment complex sitter at this like celebrity apartment complex, and then other tenants start disappearing and she has to figure out what's going on. We have Queen Seductra, who is the sole survivor of a planetary war that wiped out her entire population, and now she's here on Earth trying to repopulate with the humans. First, you have to read a book with an interspecies romance. For that, I chose Mooncakes by Wendy Xu and Suzanne Walker. This is a paranormal, fantastical, contemporary romancy story about a witch and her non-binary partner who is a werewolf. We have read a book set in space, and for that I have Love Beyond Body, Space, and Time, an indigenous LGBT sci-fi anthology by various queer indigenous authors. This is all science fiction, mostly set in space. Then we have read a translated book, and to stick on the space theme, I chose Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. This one is a trip and a half. Definitely check out trigger warnings. I will pop a couple on the screen. This is about a woman who believes that she's not a human. She believes that she's an alien. And it was not originally written in English, and I read it in English. Then we have the Tiller family, who is currently going on in January. That's the one we picked for January. And they are a cult who kidnaps young women, strips them of their identities, and forces them to become part of their family. So first we have read a book by an author who's using a pen name or pseudonym. I chose Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, also known as Shauna McGuire. This is killer mermaids in the Mariana Trench and scientists trying to figure out how to stop them. We have read a book by more than one author. I chose Vampires Never Get Old, edited by Zoraida Cordova and Natalie C. Parker. There's 11 modern takes on vampire lore. It's a short story collection. It's an anthology. Get into it. Then we have read a book centering around family, and for that I chose Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power. Are we really surprised that both of Rory Power's published novels made it into this video? I'm not. I don't know that you should be either. This follows a teenage girl named Margot who wants to learn more about her family, so she goes to her mother's hometown where she meets her grandma and also sees a girl who looks exactly like her dying in a burning cornfield. Finally, we have Crying Ethel, who is the ghost of a bride who died the day before her wedding after she found out that her husband was cheating on her with one of her bridesmaids. Read a book that's going to make you cry. Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas, which is also a sad gay book about a ghost. Read a book with a somber cover. I have Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. This is a graphic novel about a boy whose mother is sick and a monster comes to visit him every night and tells him a story. And finally, read a book that you did not buy yourself. For me, once again, I'm going to say read any of your ARCs, because you shouldn't be buying ARCs and you shouldn't be selling ARCs. But also you can just read any library book, anything that was gifted to you, something that you find for free on the internet, like I said, like fair use, public domain stuff. Just have fun with it. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell and do all that good shit while you're downstairs, as well as answering the comment question of the day. Pick one of the killers, right? And then I want you to recommend me a book for each of their prompts. So you will be giving me 3 recommendations in the comment section today. And if you don't have time, you don't have the spoons, you don't have an answer, you don't know your answer yet, you want to think about your answer, then leave me an emoji, preferably a yellow heart, so I know you made it all the way until the end of the video. And if you're on a keyboard, leave me a smiley face. So you can find my social media links through the link tree at the top of my description in the downstairs so below, so go check that out. Go follow me on my Instagram, my Goodreads, and my Twitter if you want to hang out with me outside of here, as well as places you can support me further outside of YouTube, like my Ko-fi or my PayPal or my Amazon wishlist if you want to buy me a book and I show it off on the channel. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful, whatever it is, wherever you are. I am gonna go to bed because it's currently almost 2 a.m. I will see you in the next one. Okay,